Good morning and welcome to Focus Long Island. I'm your host, Lauren DeFranco, and today we are talking to two healthcare specialists who are dealing with people suffering from some of the short and long-term effects of COVID-19, some of those so-called long haulers. Lisa Penziner, a registered nurse, director of special projects for a number of short-term rehab centers here on Long Island and Westchester, and Ken Shaw, a physical therapist and senior coordinator for the Cardiopulmonary program for Paragon Management. Welcome and thank you for joining us on such an important topic.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so glad you're here. So, Lisa, I understand you run a post-COVID support group for people who are now called the so-called long haulers.
Yes. What happened was when COVID started and people were getting over COVID, everybody was so excited they were surviving COVID and we were moving on. But nobody was talking to these people months after they had COVID, suddenly developing symptoms, not only physical, but mental, that came out of the blue months after COVID. And there were no support groups at that time, and people felt very alone. So we decided to start a post-COVID support group, and it's grown to be very large. I have people calling in from California, from Texas, from North Carolina, and we basically talk, and it's really to talk about the future, not about COVID. It's about how do we get past these long hauler symptoms and move forward.
Well, I understand that people are feeling isolated in general because we've all been in quarantine and we have no one really to turn to, and this is relatively new. What are some of the symptoms that these long haulers are dealing with?
It amazes me that each time I have a meeting, I hear about another symptom. I've had people that have had hair loss. I have people that have had neuropathy. I've had people that have a lot of psychological things. Anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress syndrome. But one of the largest things we're really seeing with these post-COVID members is pulmonary issues, shortness of breath. They can't walk up the flight of stairs like they used to, extreme fatigue. Those are really some of the big issues.
So that triggered this development of another program for you two, right?
Yes, actually, these programs were already here working for other pulmonary issues. But the fact that this was such a pulmonary issue with COVID, my thought was take these members and move them into our Better Breathers support groups where they can talk to others who are dealing day to day with pulmonary issues and learn how to exercise, learn how to expand their lungs. Hopefully, this is just a short-term issue for them, not something permanent.
Did a lot of them have pre-existing conditions, or was it a direct result of having COVID-19?
Most of them did not have any pulmonary issues. It was a direct result of the COVID.
Okay, so Ken, you oversee the buildings and the Better Breathers Club.
Yes,
correct?
I oversee the buildings, the 6 cardiopulmonary buildings, and also oversee the Better Breathers Club class that we run once a month in each of our buildings.
So you've helped a lot of people dealing with these breathing issues. What is it like? What are they complaining of? And how do you walk them through the process of dealing with pulmonary issues, which I know as an asthma sufferer, it can be tremendously overwhelming. You know, not being able to breathe is a big deal. Yes,
not being able to breathe is a big deal. And what we did with the Better Breathers Club is we designed breathing exercises for these patients. We use breathing respiratory trainers with these patients and to the members that helps them breathe better. Some of the breathing exercises that we designed were pursed lip breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, chest expansion, breath stacking, and one of the most and very important one that I love the most personally is called 4-7-8 breathing exercise. Those are the exercises that has helped my Better Breathers members significantly and has helped patients post-COVID and cardiopulmonary patients significantly when it comes to the breathing.
How many people would you say you have in?
It varies from our building to building. On average, we get about 10 patients in each or more.
Okay, so walk me through some of these breathing exercises. Can you do a couple of them or one that really stands out to you?
Sure. I like to do the two of them. Pursed lip breathing and 4-7-8. Pursed lip breathing, as we get older, our posture changes and we tend to take a shorter breath. We have a kyphotic posture. We breathe from our mouth or we breathe we become abdominal breather. What we want to do is we want to sit comfortably in your chair. You want to take a deep breathe in through your nose on a count of 4, and then you want to breathe out for 6 seconds to 8 seconds. I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to breathe in for 4 seconds. Breathe out through my mouth, puckering the lips.
And how many times do you do this? How many times do you repeat this type of breathing?
I don't want to put a number to how many times you want to do this. It's up to the comfortable level. So, for instance, you wake up in the morning and you're trying to make a cup of coffee, or you're making a breakfast for yourself. Sometimes you're early, sometimes you're running late, and you have other activities because as we get older, well, while we're doing one activity, our mind is already on a second activity that we want to accomplish after finishing the first one. So we're working faster, and that causes us a shortness of breath. So you don't want to put a number as to how many times you want to do it. Do it to the comfortable level, and especially upon exertion, when you feel shortness of breath, when you feel you're gasping for air.
What has the response been to these exercises?
The response has been really significantly well. A lot of the patients that came for first time, they were like, oh, I will try it. I'm not going to be... If they're not receptive to it, we do it in our Better Breathers class, and they have came back to me and told me it has helped them significantly to the extent that they're not scared of going out of their house for a grocery shopping or a doctor's appointment, because a lot of them came forward and said that, because of the breathing issues, I'm scared to go to my doctor's appointment. And by doing the breathing exercises, they're able to improve their lung capacity, they're able to breathe better, and that carries them to do their active daily living or a doctor's appointment a lot more easier.
Right. Well, not only are we wearing masks, but as a society in general, we forget to breathe.
Yes.
Correct? So, Lisa, how do we know about these Zoom events for people in the support group? How does this take place?
Sure. Well, the post-COVID support group is one that I run, and it's on Zoom, and we do it every 2 weeks. It's usually a small enough group that everybody gets an opportunity to share. If you need, at the end of the session, I'll give my information where you can call or send an email if you're interested in joining the support group. The Better Breathers clubs, which are in the 6 buildings as well and are done several times throughout the month, are also at this moment on Zoom as well. So I can give at the end the dates, and you can also call me for the information. The normal way we like to do these support groups is live. So we could actually be together and do it as a group. But due to COVID, we've been doing it on Zoom, which actually hasn't worked out too bad because a lot of people are not leaving their houses. So it's a way of them connecting with other people as well.
And what is the age group? It's not just the elderly that are dealing with these issues.
Absolutely not. I was really surprised when I started doing this support group. The age range I am seeing is between 30 and 60
for the
years
post-COVID.
Old. For the post-COVID, yes.
And the pulmonary group, Ken, what is the age range for those people?
I want to say anywhere from 30 or 40 to anywhere 80, or sometimes I have a patient that's 96. She attends my class, the Better Breathers Club. So anywhere from 30, 40 to in their 90s.
How do you see the progression of people when they come into the support group and when they've been doing it for, say, a few months? Do they feel better emotionally as well as physically? What have you seen?
It's nice because it's over the last 9 months that I've been doing this. And I've actually seen, and again, we hope, and even the doctors aren't sure with these long haulers if it's going to be something permanent or if it's something that's going to get better.
And that's got to be scary for people not to know it.
Absolutely, and to feel alone and not know. So I have actually seen, we do short-term goals, and we meet every 2 weeks, and I have actually seen such success with each meeting. They look better, they sound better, they feel better. It's really and a lot of my people have stopped coming because they're better.
Really? That's great.
Really,
that's got to be very rewarding for you to know.
Absolutely.
When you started out this support group, did you know what you were getting into? Did you think this is going to be a huge success, or did you just want to help people?
I wasn't sure what was going to happen with it. I knew there was nothing out there for it. And I knew that there were a lot of people out there suffering and that they felt like they were very alone. And their families didn't even know how to deal with it because they were over COVID.
Right.
So what are they complaining about, all these symptoms? And a lot of them felt, their families felt maybe they were not real. They were real symptoms they were having. And when I started, and these people started coming, and they would talk to each other, and it was like, you have the same feeling? You're having the same pain in your leg? Or you're losing your hair like I am? And they would start realizing that there were a lot of similarities, and they came to help each other. They talk to each other about how they deal with it. We set goals. I have people that don't want to leave their house. So we set a goal that, this week I want you for 10 minutes to leave your house, take a walk down the block, come back, and then let me know next week how it went.
Is that part of the PTSD that they have? They're afraid to leave the house?
Yes. It's the depression. It's the anxiety. They're afraid to get COVID again because I have people anywhere from having a very mild case to having these long hauler symptoms that are worse than when they had COVID, to people that were on ventilators for a month. Family was told to say goodbye to them.
Wow.
And they actually made it through.
Wow.
So it's really...
so it runs the gamut.
It runs the gamut.
And Ken, what have you seen with the Better Breathers? Tell us a little bit about your success stories.
So with the Better Breathers, what Lisa said, they come to me with the breathing issues. Some of them are post-COVID, and some of them they suffer from a chronic or acute lung or heart condition, and they have a difficulty breathing. By doing these exercises and participating into this Better Breathers and educating themselves about their cardiopulmonary health, about their post-COVID symptoms and how they can manage those symptoms, they're able to gain their freedom back. They're able to engage into their families' conversations, able to go in the community for their basic needs, and it has helped them significantly. Do we know with this group if these conditions are long-term or short-term, or we just don't know yet? Well, with the COVID, as Lisa mentioned, we don't know definite answer with it. But with the chronic heart and lung condition, we do know that by doing certain exercises that will improve our lung capacity, that will improve our heart functioning, where we'll be able to do a lot more when it comes to our basic needs, our community needs.
And Lisa, talk to me about some of the people that have stood out to you. We don't name names, obviously, but I'm sure you have certain people who really stand out to you that you've dealt with.
Oh, sure. I have one member in my group that we started with me at the very beginning, and she lives alone, and she was terrified to leave her house, and she just stayed in her house, wouldn't go anywhere. Had some. They call it brain fog. That's what a lot of the long haulers have also, where they get confused a little bit or they forget things.
Right.
It comes and goes. And all these people have gone to doctors. They run to the neurologist. They run to the cardiologist, the pulmonologist. And the doctors just don't know. They can't. It's not an illness. It's a result of COVID that they're hoping they will be able to get rid of. So I have one, and what we did was we slowly got her to leave her house. We slowly got her out. She became more active. She started going out to the stores. She started feeling better. The anxiety resolved. I had one gentleman who worked in the city and he thinks he brought it home to his family, and his father actually died of it.
Wow.
And he was having panic attacks all day long because of the anxiety of not only his own COVID, but the thought that he might have caused his father to die. Survivor guilt. And we would talk about when was he having these panic attacks, and we would try to narrow down and try to give him other ideas. And it wasn't just me, because I was just the facilitator. It was the group was really helping each other.
It takes a village, right?
Yeah. And this gentleman now, as a matter of fact, is now working on a play in Mexico. He was able to leave. He's not having panic attacks anymore, and he's moving forward.
I found that that's one of the things that I've heard across the board from people who have had COVID, that it brings a tremendous amount of anxiety. And I don't know if that's part of the actual COVID-19 or if it's because it's just so unknown. It's the fear of the unknown. But I definitely have heard a lot of anxiety issues.
Yeah, there are people that never had anxiety before, never had depression before, and suddenly it's like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I so nervous? Why am I? And a lot of it has to do with the result of COVID.
And Ken, do you have any people that stand out to you that you've been able to bring from zero to?
But I would like to use myself as an example. I had COVID back in April.
Oh, you did?
And I have 2 little kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old daughter. She was not 1 at that time. She's 1 now.
Okay.
But
congratulations.
Thank you. And initially, I worked in the subacute in a rehab, short-term rehab facilities, and I came across many different patients. And I caught COVID myself. I wasn't aware of it. And when my results came back positive, I was scared.
So you were asymptomatic?
I was asymptomatic initially until I got my results back. And I was very scared because I still remember that morning I had taken the test. I didn't have any symptoms. And I was feeding my daughter. She was in my lap. And when I saw the results, I was like, wait a minute. This can't be happening. That's when I went in a panic mode. I called the doctor. And that same day, it was a Wednesday morning, and that Wednesday night, I started having body ache, fever, and I was not feeling. So I know the feeling of having an anxiety attack or panic attack and having your family around and being scared that, I might have given it to my kids. But
everyone else was healthy.
Everyone else was healthy. It was just me. My wife lost the smell and the taste. She did not have any other symptoms.
Oh, your wife got it as well.
And in my scenario, I had a fever. I had a chills. It lasted for about 2 days. It got better after a couple of days. There was no actual medication that doctor gave me. He said to control the fever, take the regular medication, and I got better. But as Lisa said, I used to go to her COVID support class too. Every evening around 6:30, my body would start shutting down. I would start getting chills and a lower back pain. I would not have any temperature, but that lasted for about 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
In me, and then as time went on, it subsided with the proper exercises and breathing exercises, keeping myself active.
I was going to ask you, do you take your own medicine and do the breathing exercises?
Yes, that's when I had it. I did my own research, and that's where I came up with my exercises that showed significant improvements with the post-COVID. Those exercises showed a lot more improvement with the post-COVID patients and improving their lung capacity.
Are you still having breathing issues?
No, I'm not having breathing issues after following the exercises and doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Let's take a detour here and talk about the facilities that you guys have on Westchester and Long Island. And these are cardiopulmonary facilities, rehab centers?
These are short-term rehab facilities. And one of the things that these particular facilities specialize in is a cardiopulmonary inpatient program. So it would be for somebody that, say, for example, is in the hospital recovering from COVID, having pulmonary issues, or maybe recovering from pneumonia or an exacerbation of COPD. And they need just a couple of weeks to build their strength to be able to go home. So these facilities, and Ken runs all the facilities programs, specialize in helping them to expand their lungs. So I'm going to mention the 6. One of the
Please do, so people are aware of these facilities.
Yeah. One of the most interesting things, though, that I have to talk about is one of our special things we do in the buildings.
Okay.
And one of the exercises we do is play harmonicas.
Nice.
And the reason we play harmonicas is a lot of people don't like to use the traditional breathing equipment. The harmonicas, you're breathing in and out, so it's not only that you're having fun, but you're actually expanding your lungs.
Wow.
And we have a harmonica group that does come in once in a while to some of our places, and they started the group as COPD patients that couldn't breathe, and they started playing the harmonica to help with their breathing.
That's fantastic.
So
I love that idea.
Each of our buildings, one of the things we do is harmonica breathing.
And how long is a harmonica session? And do you learn songs?
So what happens with the harmonica, it's anywhere from 5 minutes to 8 minutes that we do. And we start off as using simple exercises. And yes, we do play song. What we do with our, before COVID, we used to have a group of cardiopulmonary patients. We will practice a song, and then we will present it for all the other patients that are in the building. And so when I did it at Excel, all the songs that I was coming up with was the nursery rhymes, either Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or Old MacDonald, because of my kids. So I would tell them, hey, listen, think of a song, and you're singing that song or nursery rhyme in your head, and play the harmonica. So tunes, does it match up? No, but because you're doing that, it becomes a different pitch that you're putting out, different force of exhalation, different force of inhalation you're taking.
And music is the great healer of
Absolutely.
all time.
And they have fun, and we send them home with education, with a harmonica, and with all the breathing exercises that they've learned. And the great thing about these programs is we then can follow them discharge-wise in these Better Breathers groups. So then they can come, once they're discharged, and come on Zoom and continue learning and getting education through that.
Do they ever play the harmonica on Zoom?
I don't know if we've ever. Yes.
Yes, actually, yes, they did. Because a lot of the with the Better Breathers Club, some of the members that come, they were a patient at a short-term facility, and we follow up with them at home. So they remind me, hey, Ken, I still remember I play my harmonica 5 minutes a day. So yes, they
That's
do.
Great. That's great. So let's list the facilities.
So the facilities that have the inpatient programs are Glen Cove Center for Nursing and Rehab, and that's in Glen Cove. Excel at Woodbury for Rehabilitation and Nursing, and that's in Woodbury. Lynbrook Restorative Therapy and Nursing in Lynbrook. Oasis Rehab and Nursing in Santa Mauritius. Surge Rehab and Nursing in Middle Island. And North Westchester Restorative Therapy and Nursing in Mohegan Lake. And what I would like to mention is, these inpatient programs are for you to go from, if you end up in the hospital, God forbid, and need just a couple of weeks to get that expansion and get better. But the Better Breathers groups are not only for our discharged patients, but for anybody in the community. So if there's anybody out there that's having breathing issues in their home, that's post-COVID, that's having difficulty, you can join one of our Better Breathers groups. They're free of charge. Any member that's interested in joining can join. And the fact that they're on Zoom now,
and how easy is it to get on Zoom? You don't have to leave your house. You don't even have to be on camera if you don't want to be, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
You can be, in your pajamas, eating noodles, whatever you want to do. Also, we should note that you're associated with the American Lung Association?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we have a collaboration with them. All of our facilitators for our Better Breathers groups and our inpatient program have gone through a training through the American Lung Association. So they are trained facilitators. We have the latest information, and we keep up to date with everything that's going on with the American Lung Association. So you're really getting a lot of knowledge and a lot of up-to-date information when you join these groups.
Okay, and what do you really want people to know since you've been doing this for 9 months, what's the takeaway here?
The takeaway is that there definitely are the long haulers. Mm-hmm. There definitely are people that after COVID, months later, even up to a year later, can have these symptoms, which are very scary.
Right.
And the thought of it being permanent is very scary. So
don't feel alone.
Don't feel alone. And for those that are living with people like this, that are having also the anxiety, the depression, it's real. Don't blow it off as, oh, don't worry about it, it's nothing. It is real. Mm-hmm. And if you feel you need to connect with other people, please give me a call. Let me know you'd like to join the support group. You could try it if you like it. And hopefully most of these people, the symptoms will resolve.
Lisa, when you say give me a call, how do people get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm going to give you my email address and I'm going to give you my phone number. My name is Lisa Penziner. My email address is Lisa, Lisa, Penziner, Penziner, at Paragon, Paragon, Management, Management, SNF, S as in Sam, N as in Nancy, F as in Frank.com. Don't kill me. I didn't make up that email address. I would never have had it that long. And you can always reach me on my cell at 516-457-5585.
Okay, and I will post this on my Facebook page, and I'll post your information. So we've talked a lot about post-COVID symptoms, but there are people living with chronic lung disease. Can you talk a little bit about that, Ken?
Sure. Chronic lung disease, so patients that have COPD, congestive heart failure, simple as shortness of breath, or pneumonia, those patients has benefited significantly with cardiopulmonary rehab that we have, and a lot of the COVID patients have transitioned into our cardiopulmonary rehab and cardiopulmonary exercises that has helped them significantly strengthen their heart and lung functioning and has shown significant improvements with the cardiopulmonary program patients.
So there is hope when it comes to chronic lung disease?
Yes, there's definitely hope with the chronic lung disease. How? By doing the breathing exercises, following a proper diet, participating and making yourself aware of your condition, and being aware about the cardiopulmonary programs that can help them change their active daily living and improve their lung functioning and heart functioning.
So how do people get on these Zoom calls? You have a number of dates coming up.
As Lisa mentioned, contact Lisa, and we do have a number of dates and Zoom meetings coming up. If they contact Lisa, she'll be able to guide you on what building and what date and time that we have coming up with our cardiopulmonary rehab Better Breathers Club.
Okay, great. So Lisa Penziner, thank you. Ken Shaw, thank you. I'm sure a lot of people out there are saying thank you because you've helped them tremendously. Just getting the support and knowing that you're not alone and that the symptoms are real and that you're not fabricating these symptoms, I'm sure that is comforting. And so I thank you, and thank you for joining us here on KJoy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting us share.
Thank you very much for having, and I thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks so much. Have a great day.